welcome to the Nerd Age Podcast. This is a show where we talk about things that are nerdy. My name is Jonah. I'm here with Josh.
What's up?
And Crystal.
Hello.
Hello there.
I was, a new member of the Nerd Age Podcast. Corey, I don't know where he is. Mick, I don't know where he is. Josh from last week, I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
So
No,
next man up. Next man up.
That's the next man up
That's
mentality.
how we do. That's right.
You know?
Last week we didn't have an episode. We just took the week off. So we got a lot of catching up to do. The first thing, we're not really going to do some news. Not much has really dropped. Thunderbolts came out. I haven't watched it, so we're not really going to talk about that. Did you guys watch it?
No. I heard it was good.
So yeah, people are saying it's good, but so we might watch that and review it at some point or talk about it. But since we didn't watch it, we're not going to talk about it. But we do have to catch up on The Last of Us and Andor. Tales of the Underworld came out. Josh and Crystal watched it. I watched one episode, so we're going to push that to next week. So if you're here to listen to us talk about Tales of the Underworld, wait till next week. But we're going to start with The Last of Us. So spoilers ahead, obviously. If you haven't seen The Last of Us, what is it? We're doing episode 2, 3, and 4?
Yep, 2, 3, and 4.
We got a doggy.
Snips found a ball, so.
Having fun. So let's, like I said, spoilers ahead. I guess episode 2 is the big one.
That's the big one.
The big one that's the death of Joel. What do you guys think? You guys have played the video games.
Yeah.
So I know they changed some things. What do you guys think overall?
I actually thought that it was done well, and I like the change that they made where there's like the attack on Jackson, because that doesn't happen in the game.
Okay.
And then Tommy's with Joel when it happens. So they flipped Dina and Joel,
Yeah.
or excuse me, Dina and Tommy. But I like the way they kind of built it up. I thought having the thing going on at Jackson at the same time, and that's kind of what leads Joel to want to go with Abby or like save Abby and, you know, go get the help from the other people. Like, I thought that was done well. And I don't think the death was as brutal in the show as it was in the game, which I think is good, because I feel like in the game it's just kind of like, let's just really shock you with it kind of a thing. I thought it was done tastefully, if that makes sense. You don't think so? You just have baggage. Just baggage, dude.
Yeah, that one time they murdered.
When I died in front of
Yeah. When they beat my adoptive father with a golf club.
That's right.
Man, that baggage.
It's true.
The wound is still fresh.
I closed my eyes and turned away. And
Oh, so she doesn't know if it was more tasteful.
and was sobbing during that part.
Yeah, weak.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
In the game, does he try to explain at all? Try to convince her not to kill him? Because I felt like she just talks and does a monologue, and then, after he gets beat a couple times and he's like, end it, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, would you not try to explain why you did it or anything like that?
No,
I don't think so.
No, he doesn't in the game. And I think even in the game, he's like, he has a line where he's like, let's just skip your prepared speeches. Let's just skip it. Just kill me, kind of a thing. So I think
because he has no regrets.
Right, he doesn't have any regrets, and I don't think he also I think feels well. I don't know. I do think he feels. Get that ball from her, dude. It's driving me crazy. Anyway, yeah. So I think I do think he does have a sense of guilt for it. You know what I mean? But he's like, I made my decision. I'm sticking by it, kind of a thing. Like,
yeah.
In his mind, he made the right choice. If that makes sense. But yeah, he doesn't try to let me explain myself. Maybe this will change your mind.
Also, I don't think he would never bring up Ellie being
right
immune.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I was just wondering, if, I don't know, to me, it seems like you would, I was wondering if that was changed, because I just felt like even in the show, he doesn't do anything. He's just kind of there. And then at that point, he's like, just end it already. Or shut up and end it already, is what he says. And I was just like, wonder if there could have been a little more back and forth. But like I said, I was curious about that. I thought for me, I thought it was interesting that he saves her.
Yeah.
Right. Like that kind of made it a little more heartbreaking. The fact that he saves her and then, they say his name and she's like, oh, that's Joel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, how lucky are you? You would have gotten smoked if you tried to go in there. But now it's like fate kind of gave you that. So, I thought the episode was good. The actress that plays Ellie, I'm not a huge fan of her. I don't know. It just seemed the whole like her being angry at him. I understand it, but it didn't convince me. It just, I don't know if it's her portrayal of it. I thought Pedro Pascal's portrayal of it, he does really well, even when he's talking to the psychiatrist and all that kind of stuff. But her kind of emotions through it, I'm not sure if it really convinced me. So that's kind of like on the lower end. It's not something that's like super annoying or that I'm like, that was done terribly. It's just like something about her doesn't convince me. And I don't know if it was like the dialogue or what it was, or just kind of her attitude, the way the decisions she make acting wise, but it just doesn't, I don't know. I felt like they tried to do it too quick. You know what I'm saying? Like she's angry. And then
she's not.
And then she's like, sees him die and she's like all devastated. So I don't know if they maybe should have like let it go a little longer or something, or I don't know. It's just, but there's just that one aspect of her side of the story that doesn't convince me.
I think the problem is I think she's probably the weakest part of the show. Like Joel's great. I think every other actor is good. Yeah, Dina's really good. I like Jesse, Tommy. Like everyone's like really good. Is it Tommy? They're all really good, and I think it's hard to pinpoint.
I liked her in the first season.
I think her face is too kiddish.
Yeah.
She's not very good.
And she's not very expressive emotion. Is the problem. Yeah. So like she'll give you anger sometimes, or like
that's what they do the most with her
when she says, like you said earlier, like she's
always saying effers, right? Like, come and get me, effers.
And you're like,
and then, hey, I got you, effer. And like, it's like a trope to be like, hey, let's give her these kind of like words, the writing to be like, yeah, she's a bad A.
She's tough, yeah.
And it doesn't come across as someone that's genuinely like that. It's more like we got to try to make her seem tougher than she is.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like the opening scene where she's fighting with Jesse, I think, right?
Or the other guy.
And they're like, she wins and, all that kind of stuff. It's like, how can we try to make her seem like really good? But yet I feel like Dina's the one, like we've talked in later episodes, it's like she's the one that seems the more capable one and all this kind of stuff. And I thought Ellie was supposed to be the one that you're like, oh, like she's awesome. And it just doesn't feel like it.
I mean, she's definitely more like obviously Dina's the one that's planning ahead and Ellie's just running off emotion basically in these ones. But I mean, I think Ellie aside, everything else in the show I really like. Like even that, I think I saw people complaining about kind of like the town hall meeting and stuff like that. Like I thought that was interesting to kind of put it in that perspective of like, well, we're going to put it up to a vote.
What is she proposing?
Yeah, what is everyone talking about? And I did like the moment with actually Seth, which is the guy that was like, get these lesbos out of here or whatever. People are like, hate him, but I'm like, that guy's playing 4D chess, dude. He got rid of all the lesbians in one fell swoop.
That is true.
That's what he was trying to do in the end.
Hey, wow. That is true. That was the plan.
That was his plan all along. He's like, wait, we can get rid of both of them?
Ooh. Yeah.
No, but I did think I was actually surprised that they gave him that moment because I could have seen them going the other way. Double down and be like he's a terrible person. Yeah. So I was actually pleasantly surprised, and even watching.
Although there might be
he might come back around,
reverse Uno card.
But I did see. I think it was maybe like after the episode on HBO, they do like the behind the scenes or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were talking about Seth, and they were like, yeah, Seth's the guy that did this in the first one, but now he's like on Ellie's side and he, wants to help Joel. And he's like, that's because people are complicated. And I was like, okay, well, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised that they didn't double down, because they could have very easily been like, yeah, here's the guy that everyone hates. Let's pile on. You know what I mean?
I think it was also good because it gave that opportunity for Ellie to be forgiving, and she didn't want to be, and like just kind of sets like how she struggles with holding on to like anger and bitterness towards people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Going back to the Joel getting killed. I thought the girl that played Abby did a really good job.
Yeah, she's good.
And good job where to the point where you're like, I don't like you kind of
you're
thing.
annoying.
Like, but you also can understand like why she's doing it.
She also looks more believable than video game Abby.
Yeah, have you seen Video Game Abby is jacked, dude?
Yeah. Well, of course
she's crazy, dude. Yeah, this in the game they're like, she's been training her whole life for this, and you're like, yeah, dude, okay.
It looks like it.
The top,
Yeah.
though.
Well, they were saying that, the girl from, was it Mando season 3?
Oh yeah, and
The super ripped.
yeah, she
They're
would have been a
saying-
good
yeah.
Abby, yeah. But yeah, I like this girl. Like, obviously, doesn't. Yeah, she's not.
They
like,
should have switched. This girl should have been Ellie,
Yeah,
and that girl from Mando should have been Abby.
she was supposed to be. They were going to cast her as Ellie, I think.
They
Originally.
should have.
But
It's
yeah,
more.
yeah, more. Yeah. It's just I don't know, something about Bella Ramsey. Like, yeah, just not very expressive. I think.
I thought the scene was good where she gets out of the hospital and she goes home and she sees all the stuff, like sees his coat, grabs his, all that stuff. I thought she did a good job there. I felt like they needed to do a little more of that.
to like tie it to Joel a little more.
Yeah, and even if it were like even a flashback to something like them talking, or like maybe that comes later, but I just feel like there should have been something that made it more emotional than it. Like, to me, it felt like it needed more. Like, lay it on thick.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they did that. They had the moment where she's at his grave.
Yeah.
I was like, they should have had a moment there where she remembers something, and you have a scene where they're kind of talking or doing something before she had the whole like meltdown, or, that she remembers something that he says. And then she remembers like, man, I was so angry at him for what he did. And I completely forgot what he did for me. Like, I just felt like there needed to be a little more for like to push into that realm a little more. That I felt like, maybe it's too on the nose, but I was like, you kind of got to lean into it a little.
I'm like curious if they're gonna do flashbacks, which I think they should, because she makes a comment in episode 3 or 4, which is the last one.
4, the last one.
She makes a comment about the astronauts,
Mm-hmm.
and so that ties to something that's in the game. So I was like, are they not going to put that in there? Because that's
They
kind of
100% are going to put that in there.
They have to put that in there.
Yeah. So the game is not chronological at all. Like it hops around and you'll see scenes.
Okay.
Like even you don't see that scene at the dance until later in the game. So like the scene that we already saw where they're like, you see that way later in the narrative of the story.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're putting things.
And they did a little bit of that even in the last episode where you see Commissioner Gordon's
the flashback.
His flashback to that. So they might do that. I just thought in that moment it would have been like, because time has passed, 5 years? 6 years since the first one?
From when it happened.
So I'm like, you could easily film something, where they're like a scene we never saw that would kind of, I guess, start the waterworks a little more. But maybe in the future.
I think we'll see them.
So I thought that was kind of my complaint about that. I guess we'll move on to these later episodes. Let's get the big one out of the way. Because I know it's different in the games. That's what I keep hearing. But I thought it was one of the dumbest scenes like in the history of me watching shows, the way they got them to, I guess, sleep together, like for lack of a better word, but it's like Ellie just gets bit, right?
Yeah.
She kind of like saves Dina, and then Dina's all like freaked out. They almost get killed by multiple people, like the wolves, zombies, or the fungi, whatever. And then also they are introduced to the scars, right?
Yeah.
And they see all these like guys with all their intestines cut up, all this kind of stuff, right? So it goes from that. Then they hide in this building. She's about to shoot her because she's like, oh, you're going to turn. She tells her, like, no, I'm not going to turn. I'm immune. And then, like, Dina, then after watching her the whole night, you know, reveals she's pregnant. And then it's like, let's make out.
That's never happened to you before? You never had that feeling before?
You know, it just to me was like, it's such a silly way. Like, I just was like, really? Like, what? Especially because it's like, yeah, to me, it just made no sense at all. And I was like, that's really dumb. And then after it all happens and, you know, she, you know, the line where she's like, I'm going to be a dad. I was just like, that's not how it works. That's stupid. It just felt like, felt really dumb.
I was like, wow, we're just going to forget about Jesse.
I mean, she mentioned him. She was like, and Jesse too, I guess.
But to me, it just was like lazy writing. And if we're talking about like, we've said the show has really good writing, this is one of those that you're like, what? Like,
yeah, it seemed a little.
It was a head scratcher for me.
It seemed like they just wanted to get to that point of like, yeah, let's have them hook up. Like, it's a nice moment for them.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of out of place, and I think in the moment.
Yeah, and just even like, for me, it's kind of like, I think a lot about like situation, right? They're in Seattle, basically surrounded by who knows what, by a horde and by the wolves. And yet you're
Not
taking
the smartest thing.
You're taking time. The other thing too, I was like, okay, she may be immune, but that's still in her system. So does that transmit sexually? I mean,
that's a great question.
Is that a sexually transmitted fungi?
Yeah.
Like you never talk about this. And now what if the baby comes out with a spore head?
Oh,
you know,
maybe
like
the baby would be immune.
You're like, man, that guy's got a spore head. So it was just ridiculous. And then even like the scene when they're like, oh, morning breath, right? Like they're just acting like nothing, like you're not in a place you don't know. You just put a chair in front of the door, you know, and it's like, hey, have some jerky so we don't do morning breath. And then going into talking about like, hey, well, I liked, when I was younger, I told my mom I liked boys and girls, and she said no. You know, it just kind of was like, what is, like, it just seemed really like beating you over the head with like some social commentaries on stuff that I was like, you got to know where you're at in the show. Like that conversation could have been had after the dance, you know, which would have made sense for that situation.
Have that conversation when they're riding in and they're like, what are all these rainbows? Yeah. I guess they don't know in this world, but like, come on. But
it just was like, to me, that was unfortunately on a pretty good episode. I thought a lot of the stuff was really cool. That was like really brought it down for me because I was like, it doesn't make sense. Like you can write it better, as opposed to just being like, hey, when you got to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, you know, when you got to go, you got to go.
That's right.
I think aside from that, like the stuff with in the episode was cool. Like them sneaking around, seeing the scars and what they did to the dudes, and then having them come up. Like, I think all the action's been really well done in the show. Like, it feels like the game where you're like, all right, they're in here and they're sneaking around and you're like, all right, she's going to go to the stair. You know what I mean? Like that feeling of like, oh, what's going to happen? I thought that was really well done. And I do like seeing Isaac more because he's barely in the game. Like he has a scene interrogating like we just saw.
And I was glad that Josh Peck got killed.
Yeah.
You know, like he went out like
he's got an annoying face too, you know? So that was good.
I was like, there you go, Drake and Josh. Sad.
But yeah, I think that was a cool background because that's added to the that's not in the game. So it's like added lore of like, okay, when did he defect from Fedra to set up his own thing with the wolves? And you're kind of seeing what his mentality is towards the scars and kind of their back and forth where they're like, who broke the treaty first? I don't care. Like, you guys did it. Who did it? So they're setting up.
That was a pretty crazy scene.
Yeah. And I like how he's just like gonna do it. And he already has his hand out. Like, I'm ready to
Could have done without
die.
the nudity.
Yeah, I could have done without the wiener schnitzels.
Have you seen
No, I have not seen. What? Well, careful what you say.
Wiener Schnitzel? Did you watch Chernobyl?
Ugh.
I think I watched the first episode and never got back to it.
So it's Craig Mazin, same guy that's directing this.
Oh, I thought you meant the actor. I was like, you can tell?
I recognized him.
No.
I didn't know anyway.
I was like,
Craig Mazin. Dude loves showing himself to the world.
Hanging brain, dude. But there's another scene in Chernobyl where you're like, oh, these dudes are naked. Okay.
All
right.
of them.
All of them.
Just,
okay.
It's random. And
yeah.
I get a little uncomfortable with this kind of when I'm just like, what is it that? Does it enhance anything here?
No. I think it does.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like you're like, this guy's like, that's a vulnerable position to be in, dude.
Yeah, but you can't just put him like, I don't know, like maybe he's wearing like in Planet of the Apes.
His legs crossed or something.
Yeah,
maybe if there was like a flower pot in front, like every angle you turn, there's something else, like in Austin Powers.
Well, even like in Oppenheimer, like just have his legs crossed.
Oh.
Oppenheimer's sitting on that chair with his legs crossed. I'm like, see
a newspaper.
Unnecessary.
But I mean, it's one of those things you're like, I get why you did it.
It's like you just put the hand up and you're like, wow, this is riveting.
Yeah. But it's cool to see Isaac. Well, not cool, but like, oh, this is what this is what he's all about. And then the fact that they're like, they got what they deserve, those animals. And you're like, oh, okay, there's something going on between.
I do wish he would have used Hexclad.
Yeah, he's
Gordon
like,
Ramsay Hexclad.
Gordon Ramsay, yeah.
I've always wanted these.
Yeah, they're too expensive, but.
But yeah, so I thought all that was interesting. I was sad with the little girl, and me not knowing anything about like who the Scar people are and all that kind of stuff. The one thing that kind of is a trope in all this kind of stuff is like, oh, they're the crazy religious people, like they always become a sect and a cult. So it's like, it's just part of it,
Yeah. I mean, people are crazy, dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cut your cheeks.
This was probably my least favorite episode.
Episode 4.
Yeah. I agree with what you were saying earlier. I'm not a fan of Bella Ramsey's portrayal of this version of Ellie. I liked her in the first season. I just don't think she's doing the greatest job at being older, like vengeful Ellie. Mm.
And they changed the thing, like, because I saw a clip from the game where when she finds out she's pregnant, she gets angry because she's like, I didn't want to slow you down. And she's like, well, you're slowing me down now, right? So like, there's that. Mm. So that seems, I feel like that would have fit better instead of the whole like, I'm pregnant. Okay, let's I'm all happy and we're gonna live our lives together. I don't know why they decided to make that choice.
I don't feel like that needed to happen now. Like the conversation about, we'll raise this kid together and stuff feels very like empty.
Also super rushed because it's like,
she still has 9 months.
She finally was like, oh, I do kind of like, you know what I mean?
Are you going
to raise a kid together? Come on, dude.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I think my biggest complaint about season 1 was like, oh, not enough clickers. And I think we've gotten a lot of them like in these last couple episodes. So like, I'm happy with that kind of ratio of like action and the clickers. Like that scene with the subway was pretty cool.
Although I do always feel like there's always a cage or a fence that stops them for a little bit. And then they're like, keep pushing on. It's like, it's moving a little bit. There they go. Get a head start. There they go. It's
There's something very similar to that in The Walking Dead too. Like the full fence thing.
Yeah. It's like, hey.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah. So I feel like you had the fence in the episode before. Then it was like the subway cage.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next form? of.
I mean, it's better than Obi-Wan, where it's just branches. You know, like,
we gotta get around this. Good point. Any other thoughts on Last of Us before we move on?
I guess I'm curious what they're leaving out. Like, what did that stuff take the place of?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I started watching some of the scenes from the game because I was like, and I was just like, oh, some of these scenes are really good and cool. And I'm hoping they don't leave that stuff out.
I mean, or they might push it to the next season.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did the song she sang, did she sing that one? They changed the song, right?
I think she does sing that one.
She does.
But she also sings, she sings one, I can't think of the band. It's one of Joel's songs that he likes. It's one of the grunge bands. I can't remember which one.
Nirvana?
It's not Nirvana. But people were Future Days. I can't remember. Because people are complaining about it because they're like, the thing happened at this point. Joel would have never. They didn't record that song until, and people are like, it's not. And the writer's like, I just deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude, it's fine.
It's an alternate reality.
But yeah, so she does sing "Take on Me,"
and it's like it looks. Exactly
that scene
nice.
was like pretty. Pretty.
She's in the
shot for shot.
perfect halo of light in that nice little mossy area.
Nice.
But yeah,
nice. Well, that's our discussion on The Last of Us. Let us know what you thought if you're watching, what you thought of the episodes. We're going to move on now to Andor. We've got 6 episodes that we're going to discuss. There's 3 left, I think, right?
Yeah, last 3.
So we got these 2 weeks of arcs that we've got. I know you guys are loving the show. I'll say what I say every single time about the show. I think it's the best looking Star Wars show they've done. Probably the best looking Disney Plus show. Like, it just, you can tell when they release how much money they spent on this. It's like, you can tell. It looks great. The acting is great. I still think Luthen is probably the best, although Saw's
speeches
awesome, was crazy. Was like, we're crazy, like, taste that rhino, like, dude is nuts. We're crazy. So yeah, I think writing is great. The characters are good. I do feel it drags at certain parts. For me, I'm so glad they're doing 3 episodes. Cause I was like, if this was one episode a week, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Yeah. So it works. Music is really good. But yeah,
it sounds like you should give this a perfect score because you loved everything about it. You said it dragged a little. Is it just because people are
it's just
writing it so hard?
It's just part of it is that because people are just saying like this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen, and I'm like, it's good, but at the same time, I do feel like there's scenes that just drag on a little too long, and the other aspect of it is, the big complaint that people have will be like, well, if you don't understand this, then you just want lightsabers and pew pew in Star Wars. And I'm like, no, but that is part of it. And I know how bad the Empire is. Like when I watched A New Hope and they destroyed a whole planet, like I get how bad they are. The whole aspect of like, let me reiterate how bad they are. And for people to then be like, see how amazing this is? They're showing how bad the Empire is. I was like, I mean, I already knew they were bad. So I just feel like I need a little more. Like I get excited about little things that connect to lore, and I think the Gorman Massacre is a really cool thing. But at the same time, a lot of the stuff they're telling me are things that I already know, like I kind of wish that they would do more with Andor's sister, because I'm really curious about that. And like, they name drop her. Maybe they do something later. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the stuff that they keep showing us is kind of things I've already seen. And so at some point I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But I think it's really good. I'm just like not saying it's the greatest Star Wars ever.
well, you're in the minority. I mean, I don't know if it's the greatest. I really like it. Like
it's really good.
The last, the first three, like leading up to the massacre with, I thought it was cool having Cassian go, and then he's like, oh, these guys aren't ready. And then he leaves. And then it was cool that they're like, oh, you have another asset, sending another one in. And so it's like, I like seeing how Luthen's working basically the rebellion at this moment, right? He's like, all right, we got to keep these, and you could, like, even that speech where he had, or when he's talking to I can't remember the other girl's name, but where he's like, we're spread too thin. Like, we've got all these things open and we're scrambling. It was cool to kind of see like how he's been working through all these things. And then like, even when Cassian's like, hey, like they're going to end up, and what if they all die? And he's like, then they'll burn the brighter. You know what I mean? Like, you got to start thinking like a leader. All that stuff is like, I just like that build up and like seeing that side of the rebellion that we, maybe saw a little bit in Rogue One, but not a whole lot. So yeah, I've really enjoyed these last ones, and I like that. I think that last, that's probably the best TV show I've seen, period, Jonah.
The last three were my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of ramped up.
Yeah.
And a little more happened. So I think all the stuff on gore, like with the Gormans, was all really good. I said jokingly in the text, I was like, they got what they deserved. Because part of me too was like, you idiots, like you're doing exactly like,
right.
Hey, they left the center. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you idiots. Like, what do you think is going on here?
There was a little bit of like playing right into their hands.
Yeah, and so I was like,
"You're not unrealistic." Though.
No, but at the same time, I'm like, which at first I was like, that's stupid, because Cassian comes in and they're like, oh, well, we got this guy on the inside, and he's like telling them like, no, you idiots, like, and I was like, well, they need to do is show the picture of him, and Cassian can be like, hey, that's the guy that was on Ferrix. But then, so I was like, wouldn't he be like, let me see the guy, like maybe I know him, kind of thing. But then in that third episode, when he's beating him up, and then he's like, who are you? Right? And he just makes him be like, you don't even know who I am, and I've been so obsessed with you. I love that. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it to you, because I was like, hey, that's a plot hole the whole time. Like, he should have just like said, and then would have saved them from doing that. But then when he's like, who are you? And he's like, what? His face just changes, like, well, you don't know who I am. I've been trying to kill you this whole time. I thought that was awesome.
That was
so good.
I know he's a bad guy, but I kind of feel bad for Cyril a little bit.
I don't.
Because I'm like, this guy, he was just a rule follower from the very get-go. He was like, this is wrong, dude. They killed those guys. He was trying to climb the social ladder a little bit.
His mom.
Yeah. And his uncle.
And then that scene with him and Deidre was pretty sweet, where he's like, tell me what we've been doing here. And she's like,
and he starts choking her.
Yeah. I was like, okay, Cyril, okay.
The other scene that was amazing was the one with her. At the end, when everything goes off and she's like
adjusting,
trying to get, like, she's choking, like, trying to do that, and her hand's shaking. I was like, she is so good.
Best gal in the galaxy.
Everything that she does, like, and yes, that stuff has been awesome. Also, like, anytime Krennic's in it, I think he does such a good job.
Yeah.
Like that scene where they're in the art gallery thing, and they're talking about, like, that was with Mon Mothma. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And how they were doing that, and everything about that was just really good. That's when Andor's at its best, I think.
Yeah, I think I think they build tension really well. Like, so the tension that they build in that whole scene of like, oh, you're going through here, and she's
even just
trying
like,
to do the
to
thing.
the point where she's like has blood dripping down her hands, like she's trying so hard, and you can see the guy's face like, we're dead.
Yeah, Krennic's great. I love Krennic. Like, what a lively evening this is turning out to be. Or like, even just like the fact that Mon Mothma, like the little slight that Mon Mothma, she's like, oh yeah, I've been, he's been on the witness stand several times or whatever. You're like, oh, like they've had issues. Like, he's probably been tried for war crimes. You know what I mean? And he's just like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
We got Jimmy Smits replacement.
Yeah,
Bail Organa, Benjamin Bratt. He does a good job. I'm a little bummed it's not Jimmy Smits, just because I'm like, although I will say, here's my biggest complaint. He had a scene where I'm like, you don't need to go that. It's the same thing they did in the first one where they're like, they wanted to say F the Empire, right? When he says like, tear this up, right? I was like, it just doesn't.
Hear me out. Listen, this sounds better. Tear the poodoo out of this place. Way better, right? They're like,
and then she goes, how boo? No, like
it did feel unnecessary.
It was a little like,
just because it's like those words, like cursing words, they're so common to like, they just don't fit. And he could have said something like, tear this all down, or like bring it all down, like something like that. But like that word, as soon as I heard it, it was like, doesn't sound like Bail Organa. Does that make sense? And so I was like, I'm glad it was not Jimmy Smits, because now in my head canon, that was
Jimmy Smits would never say the S word. No. Okay.
So that was one that was like stood out to me. The other thing that just didn't work for me was the again, if we're talking about Last of Us and the scene they had with the two girls.
Oh, Val and what's her other name? Cinta. Boom. Got it.
Yeah. It was thrown in there obviously because they knew she was gonna die, and it was like, we gotta
let's raise the stakes.
We got to create some sadness here.
Yeah.
But it just felt unnecessary because, again, they already had issues in the first season that were like, it was kind of a throwaway story. Like, and they're like, hey, let's bring this back real quick for like 15 minutes to then have her die. And I thought you could have had that moment with her at the end when she's like, no, you don't cry. Like,
that was a great scene also.
But I'm like, you can have that without having them have that scene before. Does that make sense? Like, if you build up their relationship as like, man, like...
Well, we already saw in season 1 that they had a relationship.
Yes.
And you already see at the beginning of the first arc that she's like, where's Cinta been? Kind of a thing.
So it just... that to me is like... Those are the things that I'm like... People praise it, but I'm like, it was that kind of stuff is a little unnecessary. And I just think it doesn't add to the story. It's just more for the sake of like, see, look what we can do with this kind of more gritty Star Wars. So that was my complaints about that. I think the Saw Gerrera stuff is, I want them to do more with Saw.
Yeah, I was hoping we would see him setting off the bomb, because I was like, oh, Saw's going to blow some stuff up. You know what I mean? But we didn't really see at the end of what happened with the... But yeah, that scene's awesome. You're here now.
Yeah.
Right, was my sister and I love her.
Yeah.
He's great, dude.
He's good.
He's like, what an amazing character. Like, he's just insane. Yeah. Like when he's like, we're going to be 5 parsecs from here drinking our Rido. And they're like, yeah. Or him just like shooting that dude. He's like...
Oh, that was unexpected.
Yeah. Or the fact that he wanted to get rid of the guy first. And then he was like, well, maybe even almost just trying to bait him out. But that was cool. I hope we get a little more Saw.
Yeah, I hope so too in the last one. We do need to have him, get to the point where we see him in Rogue One. The other scene I loved is the droids when they just come out and start throwing people,
kicking the barricade over,
like the way he killed the girl. I was like, that's a sick way to die, because I was like, she better not survive this. I thought she was gonna be like, but I'm like, no, she's just like dead. I'm like, dang, that Gorman went home. That's a home run.
Yeah, the droids were crazy.
And that's a retcon from...
It is a retcon. So,
which I like. I think this one works.
It's fine. It's a I don't even remember what happens. Yeah. It's in a comic book somewhere.
He goes in, infiltrates a base, and kind of like takes the...
brings the K2SO droid. But it's like people are upset because they're like, that's not... They said that everything was going to... It's like...
Oh, they said that.
Listen, dude, you think that Tony Gilroy turns in his script and they're like,
actually...
Hey, Cassian Andor, it's the issue 3.
Yeah.
They contradicts that. You got to go back to he's like, shut up.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing now. They didn't retcon the Rebel stuff though.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because that was cool because they played around. Because I even watched that episode after. I was like, I want to watch that episode. But yeah, everything's good. They even talk about on the HoloNet. They're like, we're gonna tell you about the drama that's happened in the Senate.
Yeah.
So like they allude to her speech. They do change to the speech. Like they show a little bit of her speech, and it's obviously different because different people wrote it.
But they also say in this show, there's like, you're going to meet up. They want her to come in with the fleet.
The escort, the Gold Squadron. And then that's what happens afterwards. They take her into Dantooine, and then she just does her broadcast to everyone else. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, I thought all the Mon Mothma stuff was really good.
Yeah, it was.
Like the scene,
her stuff with Luthen too.
The scene with Luthen was really cool. Like even just like, you're like, oh, these two characters are on the same team. But like, she's so paranoid where she's like, how can I even trust you? Like I'm a liability now, and I know what you did.
Yeah.
And he's like that stuff was perfect. And then I think just the tension where he's like, you can't go with Organa's guys because they've been infiltrated. And she's like, I don't know if I can even trust you. So I thought
and then when she asked, like, do you trust them? And he's like, yeah. She's like, do you know them? He's like,
no,
how could I know them? How could I know that?
No, dude.
Yeah. Although I'm like, the Empire needs to do a better job of picking people that don't look like Empire people. Like she was from the beginning. I was like, she the bad one. Because she's just like, I'm like,
that's the one.
Yeah.
All the stuff with Bix, I feel like, has been really, really sad, but good too.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what. I just assumed she was going to die. I think it's almost
worse.
This is worse because
they're gonna do a flash forward to when she's after the Battle of Andor. She's like, "Where's Cassian?
Where's Cassian at?
I said
we finally won."
I'm like,
I thought she was gonna die, and that happened. I was like, "This is way more heartbreaking."
I think that helps.
I think she'll die though.
I think it makes more sense though because if it's like, oh, in order to see her again or be with her again, we need to win. Yeah. We need to win.
It gives them a purpose.
And it gives them a purpose because if she dies, then it's like, whatever, kind of a thing. So I think that makes sense to give him kind of that.
Yeah.
It's like the catalyst of him being like, because he wanted to leave. He's like,
she's going to end up with the droids. Where's Cassian?
I hope so.
Cassian.
I need BMO back in my life.
That was sad.
Here's another complaint that goes with the big stuff. They, in the 3 arc before, she's like basically a druggie.
Rehab.
And so
it's been a year.
Well, I know. Yeah.
Cold turkey.
Yeah. But to me, it was like they were kind of like playing this whole aspect of like, she's kind of going the way that Saw, you know, like, cause they're juxtaposing him and being like, yeah, breathe it in. Yeah. You know, and then it's going back to a scene with her where she's like, smelling the stuff and she's like basically high, you know, and Luthen's like, I need you to get better, you know? And then we get the year jump and she's like she's like healthy, good, everything.
Yeah. And
so
she's not going on missions. So that's I thought that was odd that Luthen would have been like, we need you healthy.
Yeah.
And then she's just like,
so that made me, I guess in my mind, I was like, so you kind of just had that there to be like, yeah, like we need her to stay back. I know they end that arc with her getting her revenge. Yeah. And so maybe they're trying to say it like, oh, well, once she killed the guy, then she was fine. But again, it just, to me, that felt like a little bit of the manipulation of the, like, you just needed her to be kind of that way. So I just felt like it didn't follow through. So that was a little weird to me because I was like, I thought when Cassian like came up, she'd be like snorting something, like, "Oh, hi, Cassian."
Yeah,
and he's like, "You looking like
he's like, we've talked about this."
I was a little surprised that they didn't follow up with the drug stuff again.
Yeah,
but I do feel like she still looks very like haunted and broken.
Yeah, but she kind of has that face.
They should have had a throwaway line where she's like, 365 days sober.
Remember when I kicked that? Like last time I had spice was 4 cycles ago. I thought it was interesting about the healer, the Force lady.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. I liked that they're on Yavin. Again, it makes me go back to the first arc and be like, what was the point of the
That's how they found it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Hey, where's Sandra at? Did you kill Sandra? I don't know. I don't know who the heck Sandra is. I'm a pilot, I tell you. Listen to me. Hey, shut up.
But at the same time, I'm like, people really are that dumb.
Yeah, I know,
You know what
but-
I mean? Like, you get.
But I don't need to see it. You know?
You're annoyed,
It
but you're
just
like,
felt
people
like,
really are
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But yeah, I mean, I think the music's been awesome. That it almost sounded a little Hans Zimmer-y, at the end where she was giving her speech. It sounded a little bit like Inception.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the music's been really good, and overall, I've been loving it. Best media I've ever seen.
As far as our predictions go, I think you and Mick have gotten the
Bale nor droids.
Bale. And then Rebellions Are Built on Hope.
Did I say yes or no?
I think you said no. Was I the one that said the yes?
I don't know. Yeah, stupid bellhop.
that was a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, as you
Because
gonna
that's
say.
what Jen
I
says.
know that.
So I was like, will they say that? And I was like, yeah. So I think we're all tied then. If that,
Yeah,
I think you
that's-
Mick said no on that one, and I said yes. So
These last 3 episodes better deliver.
He's painting the trophy.
nice. I really don't think I keep scouring the backgrounds for any
Wookiees?
I'm like, there gotta be a Wookiee. Come on, there gotta be a Wookiee. Anywhere in the Senate, I was like, paused it and I was like, guy up there, no.
No.
Is the white dude
No, he's
from
not a
Rogue
Wookiee.
One a
He's not a
Wookiee?
Wookiee.
Is he some sort of Wookiee though?
No, he's not.
He's like a white Wookiee.
He's not a Wookiee. He's
We'll
Yeti.
see.
there's a specific race. Yeah, he's not.
Dang it.
Too bad, dude.
There's got to be a Wookiee on Yavin. Like, Chewie can't be the only Wookiee that's joined the rebellion.
They're all enslaved.
There's got to be some that have gotten out.
That's true. Maybe you'll see Black Chrysanthemum shows up.
Oh, that'd be sick. I just need one Wookiee. I'm like, no, there's no Wookiee senators. Wow. Cut his mic. That Wookiee's going rogue.
Do you think that Luthen is going to die?
Yeah, I think Andor kills him.
You think Andor kills him? You mean Cassian?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cassian
Cassian
Andor.
Andor?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because they've set up this whole thing. They've set up this whole thing where he's like, you gotta do what's best for the rebellion. And we see Andor at the beginning of Rogue One just murder that dude to get away, right? So I'm like, and throughout these ones, he's like, I can't do that. I make my own choices, right?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be something at the end where Luthen is like, there's in something and he's like, you had to do it, right?
Yeah.
And he like makes that choice.
Yeah.
And I think that would like work because you can't have Luthen continue on after this.
No.
I thought maybe he sacrifices himself.
Well, I think there's part of the sacrifices, but he sacrifices himself like with Andor
Gotcha.
killing him, like him allowing him to do that.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best way to do it because then you're like, man, he put his money where his mouth was, right?
Yeah.
He had all these people sacrifice throughout these 2 seasons.
Right, and he is willing to
and now
do it
he's willing to
himself.
do that. Okay. It's either Cassian kills him or his assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I'm guessing we're going to get more Krennic in this last.
And I'm hoping for a Vader too. I'm just being like, perhaps you should not choke on your own aspirations. No?
No.
Corey hates that line.
I know Corey does hate that line. I like that
He has
line.
a ton
I
of
like that line.
one-liners. You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
Apology accepted.
Nida. Ned Niederlander.
Ned Niederlander.
Any other thoughts on Andor?
No. I'm loving it.
Yeah, really good.
Like I said, we're never gonna get Star Wars like this ever again.
It's
okay.
my second favorite.
the goal. The galaxy is watching. Not really, boys. Y'all are gonna get squashed.
It's my second favorite live action Star Wars.
What's the first?
Ahsoka.
Nice. Well done. I'd put, at this point, I liked Ahsoka more. For sure.
Just guess because you just like pew pew.
For sure, I would put Mando season 2 over Andor. I might do Mando season 1 as well.
Season 3 was...
Season 3 wasn't as good. But I just think, especially 2, because I'm like, man, the Luke Skywalker, I mean, that arc leading up, building in characters. And if we go cartoons, I put Clone Wars and Rebels above Andor.
Wow. I would too.
Wow.
So, but I still think it's really good, but I'm just like, there was one guy I was watching a video where he was like, because people were saying like, oh man, it's like, this is the best Star Wars. Why aren't people watching it? Why aren't people getting so excited for it? Like everything else isn't as good. He's like, and the guy was like, well, he's like, it's a really good show. He's like, but it's also like part of Star Wars is like, if you're going to badmouth lightsabers and all that kind of stuff, he's like, that's kind of what Star Wars like
bread and butter.
He's like, and so now you're having people watch a show about like a slow burn of a rebellion and the Empire. And he's like, where it's, you're going to have a lot of people that are Star Wars fans that are like, I'm not interested in that. Like, which is totally fine. But it's just kind of interesting, this whole, I mean, greatest ever.
Yeah.
Or even the whole political aspect of things, because that drives me nuts. You can pick any liberal, Republican, Democrat, whatever, and I can say the empire is Obama, the empire is Trump, the empire is Biden, the empire is George Bush.
Like the empire is Apple.
You can do that and find ways. So when people are like, and if you don't get it, then you got to get your head out of your butt. And I'm like, no, it's guys, come on.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? You stole my thought.
The Gore are French.
The Gore are French. 100% they're French.
You know, and they're linens.
I did that. That's one thing that I think is cool, that they're like, oh, we just straight up made up a language, and they like committed to it and were like, hey, subtitles, get used to the subtitles.
Yeah, I like
because not everyone's just gonna speak basic. I thought that was cool. But it sounds stupid, but like I really liked. Oh, just let's see what senators do and go to parties. You know what I mean? Like that aspect of those interactions that are going on while this other stuff's happening. Like we never see like just basic interactions. Oh, the Krennics at this party also. Like what are the other Imperials doing on Coruscant? That's all things we only get like in books or things like that. So to see in a show, I think is cool to kind of explore that different side of what's going on in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I agree. It's good. Any last words, Crystal? I'm liking it.
I loved it.
What? Yeah, 3 more episodes.
Yeah, and then they said lead and right up, right? Or no?
Yeah, it leads right up to the beginning of
Rogue One BBY.
I kind of was hoping that the BMO would become K2SO.
Like they would put a chip in.
And he'd be like, oh, Cassian, my body now is bigger. I can help you. Hooray.
No, but their personalities are different. I did like the ending where he's like, if I haven't offended you, I would appreciate it if you point that somewhere else.
That was good.
I love K2S, so I'm excited that he's in it now.
So I know we already have our predictions, but in the show, do you guys think Bix makes it out alive?
I kind of think so.
I kind of think so, because I think that makes it more tragic.
Okay. Deidre, she gonna get killed?
Yeah, I think she doesn't make it.
Luthen, we all agree he dies. Luthen's assistant. I think she might survive.
I think she survives.
I think Ronnie's gonna die.
Who's Ronnie?
You mean Lonnie?
Lonnie, yeah, sorry. Lonnie.
He has
inside
to.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, Lonnie has to die. So does Wilbon or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Will.
Oh.
Willman.
But they just saved him.
Yeah, but he wasn't in Rogue One. I guess he could go off with the French lady. Yeah, I think we're gonna see Saw on Jeddah. I hope so, because I said yes.
Is that what he's huffing, dude? His Rido?
That's why he has that. Yeah, dude.
It's crazy.
Rido. His voice is so
good,
I love it. I'm like, hey.
You should have had predictions to see if we see the Borgullet origins, dude. He has a baby.
Yeah. have a baby Paul Cullet. Lies, deceptions. Yeah, I'm excited for it. And then after that, there's not.
No Star Wars.
What's the next Star Wars on the horizon? There's not
Visions?
Ugh.
Well, that's
I'm just saying, like,
Not a canon.
Acolyte, no
Vision.
Acolyte 2, nothing.
wait. Did you not like Visions?
I liked it.
Oh, okay.
I liked half of them.
Yeah.
There's just some, like the Tatooine Rhapsody or whatever that
I
one,
liked that
you know.
one.
I am a Jedi.
No, there's some that are just like, I'm not interested. But
Yeah, that's it, right? Because then
yeah, Tales of the
He's got-
Underworld.
You need
We'll
to catch
talk
up.
about next week.
It was really good.
I watched the first one. The opening
Is awesome,
with
dude.
Quinlan Voss. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Obi-Wan looks so sad. I just want to reach in and give him a hug, bro. Like, I'm like, oh, look at that guy. Like, and that was like, I'll always love you. Like that whole
that's
thing.
good stuff, dude.
They're really good.
Was sick. So
That's one thing that it's like, hey, get it. I get that Andor's amazing. And like people that are like, Andor's the only good Disney stuff we've gotten. I was like, no, we've gotten a ton of awesome
gotta watch some
animated
animation.
shows, like with great storylines.
There's a
Yeah.
really cool scene part of an episode for the Tales of the
Underworld.
Underworld that's really good.
Little nice
Pretty
little tease for
Nice.
you.
Side note, Dave Filoni's totally bringing Asajj Ventress into his movie and Ahsoka season 2, right? That's why
That'd
he's
be
doing
sick.
this, right?
Yeah, and you know who he's going to
It's
cast?
gotta be.
You know who it is? Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
Asajj Ventress. Boom. You
Oh,
heard-
I thought you were saying for.
No, for Asajj
Quinlan
Ventress.
Voss.
Yeah.
I don't see
Will
that at
Smith as
all.
Quinlan.
Yeah. There you go.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Don't
as Asajj.
ever talk about my wife.
Keep Asajj's name out your mouth.
Yeah, I can't wait to finish that because I was like, I want to do it, and I was like, I gotta watch an hour and a half of Andor and then 3 hours of The Last of Us. So, and now that Disney Plus has the stupid commercials, it takes me forever to finish an episode.
You can blame the Verizon guy that promised
You know what?
nothing would be unchanged.
You know, I may have to drop some pony up some money.
It's really annoying.
It is because I'm like, yeah, commercials suck, guys. That's why we are presented to you commercial free at the Nerd Age Podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll be back next week with Tales of the Underworld, Price Andor finale, see who won the prediction battle, and I would assume some Last of Us if we get to it. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with us. See y'all later.
See ya.